DC Multiverse!
So how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Brad, the DC Universe Geek, and today we're going to take a brief look at the McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse Batman Earth -32 and the Hal Jordan Green Lantern figure 2-pack. As I always say, the box art for this is exactly the same as the rest: black, white, and blue. Top says Dark Knight's Death Metal. Left-hand side has the titles of each character. Right-hand side has more words and window. And the back has a pretty fantastic looking piece of action figure photography with Hal Jordan and the Dawnbreaker going head-to-head, as well as other figures that Todd McFarlane's already released in the DC Multiverse action figure series. For those hoping to see the bottom of the box, and even the barcode, well, there you go. Cool. Now let's get them out of the package. And so now that we've got everything out of the package, we can see everything clearer that we got on the inside. Of course, we got the two figures and the trading cards as usual, which, remarkably, because each one has to be of the individual character, is not the same image as the back of the box. And as usual, both of these characters have a bio on the back, so you can feel free to pause and read each of these if you'd like to. The Dawnbreaker also comes with the exact same construct that he came with last time, and Hal Jordan comes with a jetpack construct, which looks pretty neat. You've got the fire coming out the bottom, the lantern symbol on the back. Pretty interesting looking sculpt, as well as a fiery boxing glove construct. And just like with the rocket pack, Todd's team has done a pretty good job sculpting this thing, and I really do like the tone of green they've used for both of these. Now, the double action figure base, designed for Hal at one end and the Dawnbreaker at the other, though molded in the same tint of translucent green plastic, actually has shading on the Dawnbreaker's side of the stand, and just generally looks like something that would be related to the Dawnbreaker, what with the tentacles and the chains, while Hal Jordan's is a much more classic looking Green Lantern style construct, with a missile attached to the base. Now, I'm not really going to spend very much time on the Dawnbreaker, just because I've already reviewed this figure exactly as it is in the past when it was a single release. Heck, looking at both of these figures side by side, I bet you can't even tell which one was the one that I got in the package with Hal Jordan. Well, surprise! It was this one. So I'll just pull him off to the side for a moment and bring in Hal Jordan, my favoritist of the Green Lanterns. Which, if we bring in the previously released John Stewart Green Lantern, we can see that Hal Jordan is really just a completely reused body, like every piece. The only thing here that is a newly sculpted piece is his head sculpt, which you may like or absolutely hate. At this point, I feel like there'll be a lot of people who really like this face sculpt, and there'll be other people who say this just does not really scream Hal Jordan to me. I personally think it's okay, and I can appreciate the fact that his brown windswept hair has been molded in brown plastic and not just painted. And hey, if you don't like that head sculpt, you can always try this one out. It's from the 7-inch DC Direct Icons Green Lantern figure. It's a flat base at the neck there, so you kinda have to dremel out the inside to make room for a neck and a ball joint. But, as you can see, in a pinch, it actually will work. I think it's the right scale, and it's a great alternative to the factory head. Now, just briefly going back to the body here, just because it's all reused parts doesn't negate the fact that it actually works in this case. It's all the exact same sculpted detail, so we can see the lines here going underneath the emblem, and then up here where John Stewart's suit used to end and the black would begin. And I surmised in the past that if they were going to reuse this for Hal Jordan, then this piece right here that hangs down would come into play, because that looks like his suit. But honestly, I wasn't convinced they were going to do that. I thought that they would just sculpt a new body, but I stand corrected. They used the same one, and it works. I feel like all of those extra added details, they just work for Todd's interpretation of a Green Lantern. When it works, and if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I will say one thing that I'm not super happy with my Green Lantern is that the lantern symbol on the inside, which has been molded really nicely, has sloppy paint on the inside. And I really would like to touch that up myself once this video's finished. But overall, I do think that this is a fantastic version of the character, so let's compare him to some others. The first being two of my favorite, the DC Essentials on the left and the NECA over there on the right, with the next two being from DC Direct on the left and DC Collectibles on the right. That's the new 52 version over there. And then finally, the DC Universe Classics on the one side and the DC icons on the other. Now, as for the articulation, we've already gone through it with John Stewart, but I'll go through it very briefly here with Hal Jordan as well. There's waist articulation that can go around 360. There's articulation in the torso. It's not super great, but it's actually not terrible. It's all right. And then the head actually has a pretty darn good range of motion for flight. It's on that ball joint and there's a lot of movement, so you can get him into a flight pose no problem whatsoever. The arms are on those rounded hinges and they've also got that butterfly segment there. It's not really a butterfly, we all know that. It's just an extra rounded piece there to fill in the gap so the arm can have more freedom to move back and forth. He's got the 360 bicep swivel, double jointed elbow, and then he's also got that rounded hinge in the wrist there. As far as below the belt, well, we know that McFarlane likes to employ this style of ratcheted little hinge there in the groin, and it's actually pretty well articulated. Moves forward all the way, moves out quite a distance, back as well, so no complaints there. There is, in this one, a little bit of roundy round motion like that, and he has double jointed knees, so if you want to get him into, you know, a reasonable flight position using all the articulation points we've already mentioned, you can crunch him right up like that. Not that he would ever fly like that. You get the point though. And then he's also got nothing at the top of the boot, but he does have a rounded ball hinge right here that can also act as an ankle pivot as well as toe articulation. So now that we've gone through all that, looked at both figures up close and personal, obviously taken more time with Hal Jordan, what do I think about the Hal Jordan Dawnbreaker 2-pack from McFarlane Toys? Well, I feel like if you missed out on the Dawnbreaker and you don't yet have Hal Jordan because you can only get him so far in this 2-pack, then it's absolutely worth your time and money to track it down and buy it. And let's face it, the Green Lanterns typically have uniforms that look very much alike, so I have no problem with this just being a repainted, reused body buck. The head sculpt doesn't scream Hal Jordan, but it also doesn't not scream Hal Jordan. It's somewhere in the middle. It's definitely usable, even if you don't want to do some kind of a head swap. If you've already got the Dawnbreaker and you really want the Hal Jordan, well, at this point you're kind of stuck picking up the 2-pack, so you can always give the Dawnbreaker figure to someone else who doesn't have one. But anyway, that's my story and I'm sticking to it. Hopefully you found this video to be an interesting, useful, insightful, entertaining waste of time for the day. If you did, you know where all the buttons are that do all the stuff, and I'll see you with the next one. Have a super awesome, fantastic DC day, everybody, and take care.